Hi there, we're going to do a lovely little beanie for our smart doll today. This does fit other dolls as well of the same head circumference. I know it fits my pullets and it will fit some of the Blythes, so it is quite a versatile little hat. Shitozi's here to help me today, so we can have a little look. This is the hat. As you can see, it's a nice slouchy beanie, so there's like plenty of room in it there for you to position and shape. So it is a gorgeous little hat. I'm really pleased with it. I've actually done it in this beachcomber. I'm not going to demonstrate it in beachcomber because it's a lovely wool, but as you can see the different sort of textures. As you're working on it, I don't think it will sort of translate very easy for you to see the pattern. So I'm not using it, but it is something I would recommend. It creates a great effect, and there are other colours as well. So I'll put that to one side. I'm going to do it in a nice bog standard double knit yarn. This is a Stylecraft yarn that I've got. I do like Stylecraft a lot, so it is a yarn that I do use quite a bit, and it is quite a soft yarn as well, and it's not expensive. I have my scissors, I have a stitch marker, I have my needles, and I have a 3.5mm crochet hook, which is my favourite hook to use, as I'm sure you've noticed. So I'm just going to move those to one side. I'm also going to move our Shitozi. Let's have just a quick model. As I say, really pleased with this one. I think it really suits her. And I've got some gorgeous photos of her with it as well. So I'm going to pop her to one side as well. And we're going to start on this little hat. As I say, I'm using a normal, basic double knit yarn. It's in this nice sort of lilac-y colour, which I don't know whether you can see the colour that well, but I wanted a colour that you can sort of see without it being too dark. I'm just hoping it's going to show up. Can you see that up against the background? Fingers crossed. Remember, I am using UK terms as well. So I've done my slip knot, placed it on my hook. Don't do it too tight because obviously we don't want it to be difficult on the hook with us. Wrapping my yarn, and I'm going to start with my 2 chain. Into that first chain, I'm going to do 6 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now I'm going to pull my slip knot, which will tighten up the little hole in the center there. That's why slip knots are really useful. I know some people just do knots, but if you master that slip knot, it's much nicer to neaten up your work. We are now going to be doing trebles, so I am actually going to slip stitch into the very first double crochet I did. So I'm picking up both pieces and pulling my yarn through, not making it a stitch, and just pulling it through. So I'm now going to do 3 chain because I'm doing trebles. That is going to count as our first treble. Now into the base of that stitch, I'm going to do 1 treble. So that's our first little 2. Now each of the rest of the 5 stitches are also going to have 2 trebles in each one. I'm trying to slow down very fractionally. I do find it hard to slow down. But I know some people are saying I'm moving a little bit too fast. Now obviously if you sort of a little bit more comfortable with your crochet, you can always fast forward certain bits if you think it's a little bit too slow for you, but I do have to appreciate that there are also beginners looking at some of these projects. So I'm hoping I'm going to do this a little bit better. So it's just 2 trebles in every single one of those 6 double crochets. That's probably it. Now, thankfully, it's really easy to count trebles. So there's 1 set, 2 set, 3 set, 4 set, 5 set, 6 set. Looks like there's a bit of a gap there. There isn't, it will join. It is just purely because I did that slip stitch and 3 chains, so don't worry about it. I'm going to try and get into approximately the top of that 3 chain. And I'm going to do a slip stitch again. So I've joined it together, so you can see that gap has completely gone now. We're going to do the same again. It's going to be 2 trebles into every single one of them. So obviously we have 12 stitches now. So if we have 2 trebles in each one, we're doubling up. We're going to have 24 stitches. But your first of your stitches is 3 chain. Now if we stretch it apart, you can sort of see that's going to be the stitch. So yarn round, into the space, oh, not yarn round into the stitch, and pull it through into a treble stitch. That's our first, and we need 12. So into the top of the next treble, and we do 2 trebles. into the top of the next one, 2 trebles. Turned out quite a nice colour this, actually. I'm quite pleased. Oh, did it just do 1? Again, it's really easy to count a treble. Double crochet, sometimes you're not always sure whether you've missed one, but at least with the treble, it's the post, so it's easy to see. Pull my yarn a little bit. So we're about halfway around now. So again, 2 trebles in every single one of these. I'm going to speed up a little bit here because, as I say, it's just the same thing in every single one, so you don't really need to work with me. If necessary, just pause it and just go round over the 12 stitches and then restart it again to see what I'm doing next. Right, so again, we're at the end. Best you can get in the top. It's sometimes hard to get that one, sort of comes with practice, that, and do a slip stitch. So we can see we have the crown of the hat here. We now have 24 stitches, but we're still going to increase because a smart doll's head is quite large, and we're going to double it up again to give us 48 stitches. So if we go 3 chain again, look in the base, and in it goes. Oh, or not, there we go. So that's our first of our 48 stitches, so 2 in every single stitch. It will give you the crown size of the doll. I find quite often anything between 42 and 48 is about the right amount on a crown, depending on what stitches you're using. If it is something like a treble, it will make a larger sort of size, so you do have to be a little bit careful. Oh, look at that. Can you see what I've done? This is something to watch for, but at least it's easy to see. I can see I've got 2 in one stitch there, but I've only got 1 in that one. So we take it out. Thankfully, crochet is so easy to take out. It's one of my favourite things about it. So I will speed up again. Again, you can pause me, and you're just doing 2 of these trebles into every single one of the stitches all the way around. I think probably pausing me at that point is probably the easiest way of doing it. See, I speed up and then I drop the stitches, so that's helpful, isn't it? I think the problem is I try to make the videos sort of quite short, or as short as I possibly can, because obviously crochet can take quite a while. So I think that's why I got this sort of impulse to speed up a little bit. If the stitches change or if the pattern changes, I will try and slow down, but with this particular pattern you're not going to get much of a variation all the way around. There's a little bit of a decrease towards the end, but nothing major. It's just keep going round and round. As soon as we've got this, oh look, I've done it again. That's because I'm talking. I've just gone on to doing normal trebles. Saying that, it's good that I make the mistake, not you. So thankfully, if you've paused me and you've just done it yourself, you've done it right. So it's 2 in every single one, 2, because we need that increase, otherwise it's not going to fit her head. Not far off there now. Now I don't know whether there's going to be a size variation in this, because as I said, the beachcomber yarn is very, very different, but I don't think there's going to be a massive difference. Obviously, depending on your tension, you may get a slight difference in the hat, but when we get towards the end, I'll show you how we can rectify that. And if you're sort of a little bit tighter or a little bit looser than I am, let's have a check. And the last one. And a slip stitch, near as you can into the top. And when you're doing this, don't just pick up, say if I just pick that up, I've just picked one piece up, and can you see it makes it loose? So when you do your stitch, then you're going to get that hole. So when you're doing that, I've stretched it a bit now, you need to try and pick up 2 pieces. I know it's a chain, so that feels a bit weird, but you need to try and pick up 2 pieces to make it a little bit stronger on your fastening up. So you can see that is the crown of our hat now. From now on, this is, as I say, the bit where you may either fast forward or you may pause and then just do yours and get on with it, because we've actually got, I'm just double checking my pattern there, we've actually got 8 rows, or rounds should I say, of just trebles. This is the thing with a slouch hat, it does take a lot more rows than it normally would. So I'm going to start with my 3 chain. Okay, I'm going to go in my first treble. So it's up to you, it is going to be a treble in every single stitch. So I am going to speed up, and the reason being is, if you're a beginner, all you need is a pen and paper and just keep going. Go round, mark it off, go round, mark it off until you've got 8. If you know what you're doing and you're comfortable with it, you can just jump past this stage. Yeah, because the slowing down option is there, but it is a little bit weird. I listened to myself yesterday. If you slow it down to the slowest one, I literally sound drunk. If you're not sure on this actual stitch even, so I'm saying I sound drunk when I slow myself down, pop onto my trebles tutorial and it'll give you just a quick reminder of what you're doing with the stitch. It's quite a nice stitch. Most people like doing trebles. Can you see how it's getting, we're getting larger again now? But the thing is, with a slouch hat, it needs to be a little bit baggy. Otherwise you don't get it to slouch. In fact, I might even see, I've never done it before, but I might see if I can fast forward this bit for you. Because I know there is an option on the video on the editing section where you can do it, but I'm saying I never know whether it's you want me to do it or you don't. If anybody has got any opinions on that, let me know. You know, do you want it slower, but you might feel that it's a bit tedious then, or do you want it sort of sped up at certain points? Or, you know, it's obviously everybody's very different, so it's hard for me to know which method suits which person, because that is only 1 round and I've got 8 of these, and I don't know whether you want to sit through 8 rounds of trebles. We're on our last one. So remember, when you've done your last stitch, it's always slip stitch 1, 2 and 3. It's right at the top there, making sure we're getting 2 little bits, pull it through, pull it through. That is our slip stitch. One thing you do find is when you're doing these sort of joins with trebles, you can end up with a line if you're not careful. This is important to try and keep this neat. I find if I do half trebles, I can get away with doing it sort of more of an amigurumi system and not stopping and starting. I'll just keep going round. Trebles are a little harder to do with that. You can do it, but I'm going to do it the traditional way. So 3 chains and 1 treble in every single stitch. It should start bringing the work round a little bit into sort of like a little ball after a couple of rows. I keep calling them rows, they're rounds. I should know better than that because I do a lot of amigurumi and they are all rounds. It's very rare I actually work in rows, so I don't know why I'm saying rows. Can you see it's starting to curl? That's what you want. It needs to be starting to curl. It doesn't need to be getting just larger. If it's just getting larger, you're increasing somewhere. There should be no increases now. This is just 1 treble in every single stitch. So if you guys will fast forward, I will see you at the other end when we get our 8 rounds done. If you're still with me, thank you for staying with me. Hope this is okay at this speed. I say I know I am a little bit fast. So I do find it quite hard to slow down. But as long as you just remember it is a treble in every single stitch, you don't really have to worry about keeping up with me. I do recommend that pen and paper though, makes a big difference. So because I'm on my second round now, I haven't actually written my first one down, but I'm going to make sure when I get to the end of this I do write it down. I don't know, I should have some music playing or something. Something I've not done on my videos yet. A little bit of background music, perhaps. I don't want you to feel like you're sat in an elevator or a lift, because that's what some of the music sounds like. And we've got one more stitch there. Now that's our 2 rounds. So again, top of the 3 chain, picking up 2 pieces and slip stitch. So I've got my pen and I'm just going to mark off. I've done 2 now. It's a very strange line doing it left-handed, but can you see we're actually getting a little basket, but that is your outside, so we need to push it out. So you can see that would be the top of the actual hat. So we're going to carry on. We do have, I can't add up now, we've got another 6 rounds. So I 3 chain into the first one and all the way around. Just 1 treble every single stitch. I'd love to hear if any of you do make this for your other dolls, not just your smart dolls. Not 100% sure of the fit on a Blythe. Excuse me, I've only got a petite Blythe. I don't have a full-size Blythe, so obviously she's even smaller than sort of smart doll head circumference, but I do know that they definitely do fit the pull-ups, and they may fit a couple of the other fashion dolls that are about as well, because I know I've done some for my granddaughter, and some of her Disney dolls are quite good for the fit as well. It's a bit hypnotic when you're working like this. Don't do it when you're tired. I've done that a few times and I've almost been asleep as I've been crocheting. I did it yesterday because I was making quite a few hats, and I literally just wanted to put my head down and sleep, just watching myself doing it. Sort of, I'd say it's because it's quite rhythmic, but it becomes monotonous. That's why I say by all means fast forward me. Getting a nice shape now. It actually feels quite nice. So it's quite a nice soft yarn, the Stylecraft, and I think it's really well priced as well. Don't really know what colour to call this. I'd say it is a lilac. It's looking a lilac through the screen, and for me to actually look at it, it's going towards a grey lilac. This is a pretty colour. Oh, I'm losing my stitch. So that's our 3rd round. So again, mark it off. Make sure you know what you're doing. So you can see we've definitely got a little hat forming. Let's have a check on Shitozi. Like I said, for those of you who've not fast forwarded me, this gives you a little break from watching me do that. So I'm going to take her other one off. Now it's meant to be big, it's not meant to fit close at this point. So you can see, in fact, to be honest, if you were wanting to do a little hat, you would probably another couple of rows, you could leave it at that if you wanted. But we need that slouch, so it does need a lot more rounds on it. So I'll pop her back over there. Would help if I didn't put her on the wool. She's got a bracelet on that's catching as well. Right, The wool's free now, it's free. So this is our fourth, which would make me halfway round. So let's see if you're sticking with me. Trying to make sure I stay in the centre as well, because that's something I'm quite guilty of. I tried repositioning my camera last week. It really did not work. I was sort of having to reach forward to do it, and yeah, so I just don't think it worked. This is my week for just making smart doll things. So I've been busy making hats to pop on my Etsy. So I can get some nice photos for Instagram as well. So that's what I've been doing. So next week, I'm not sure what I'm going to do next week. What have I got written down? I know it sounds a bit sad, but I've already started thinking about Christmas. In fact, I have already bought Christmas presents. Not wrapped any. Some people have said they're wrapping. I'm not wrapping, but I've got some presents to send to Father Christmas. And I've got a few Christmas ideas for projects, so I'm contemplating whether next week is too early to start for Christmas projects. Because if you're making gifts, you need to know now, really. I know the magazines are already starting to do that. In fact, I was very pleased to have... in fact, I'm distracting again, aren't I? Let me pop that down a second. In fact, I will show you at the end in case anybody's fast-forwarded. But I was lucky enough to get one of my projects in the Simply Crochet magazine, which I will show you when we get to the end of the 8. Because if some of you fast forwarded, you're not going to be able to see it. Did I say this was my 4th round? It is. This is why you should always write everything down. It's very easy to lose track. I mean, I've not used a stitch marker. I know I've got a stitch marker, but I've not used it at this point because at least with a treble you can always see look where you've got to the end, because it'll always be sticking up. So it doesn't matter, but I will need the stitch marker towards the end because I am going to be popping some double crochet rounds in at the end, so they're not so easy to see. So if you pop a stitch marker in, it just makes it a little bit quicker and more convenient for yourself. That's our 4th. Not so painful now, we're halfway around. The hat is really quick to make. So 3 chain and 1 treble in every single stitch. Like I say, it might seem a bit tedious doing these 8 rounds, but it certainly is worth it because I do think it's a lovely little hat and it suits her really nicely. Careful not to speed up too much, because I said that's when you lose your stitches. And you can guarantee, obviously, somebody's watching me, because you're watching me. But when somebody's watching you, you have a tendency to go wrong more often, I find. I've done that even when I'm teaching. You know, you're quite confident, you know what you're doing, and all of a sudden you've got to show something, and you guarantee you'll drop the stitch or something. Or if somebody's learning, there's nothing worse than watching them. I sort of have to sometimes sort of look to one side, make sure somebody's okay with their work, because you can guarantee as soon as you start looking at them, they'll go wrong. You just feel a bit self-conscious. I think that's the only reason there. And if you're having trouble getting to sleep at night, just put this bit on. Oh, the dog's barking at something. It sounds... The dustbin men came yesterday to empty the bins, but it does sound like a dustbin lorry. So it's like a siren for reversing. Hoping she's not going to bark too much. No, it wasn't anything important, otherwise she'd have carried on barking. If it's the postman or somebody at the door, she will carry on and on and on until I get down there, because my craft room's upstairs. Can't see my timer on, when I put the clamp on my phone, it hits just over the, trying to see if I can see, at 25 minutes? I think that's 25 minutes we're on. I mean, obviously, you would easily get it done in under an hour. I'll have taken a little bit longer because obviously I've been talking to you and explaining a couple of things. But as soon as we get past this 8, there's hardly anything else to do. So I reckon the video, we've probably got about another 10-15 minutes at the most. So 3 chain, treble into every single one. Make sure you remember to wrap that yarn, otherwise you'll not get a treble. The only problem is when then you go on to doing double crochets, you have a tendency to wrap your yarn all the time, and we don't want to do that after. I might just go up to 7 and have a quick compare with my Beachcomber one, because with it being sort of quite a lumpy yarn, the Beachcomber, I don't know whether the stitches will be slightly shorter. So we're going to have a quick compare in a second. This is number 6. This is round 6. Dog's coming back upstairs now. She got bored, whoever it was. I think she's wanting to come in here. I've got the door partially closed. You can just see a little nose poking around the corner. Because her bed is actually in here, because she normally comes in here with me when I'm working. But because she hadn't, and I've set up my lights, it just stops the door opening, so she can't get in. You'll have to wait, not be long. So this was number 6, wasn't it? Yes, double check. Looks like a spider's been writing the numbers down, because I've done it with my left hand. Oh, nearly lost it. The other difference in the 2 yarns as well is the Beachcomber is actually a cotton, so it has less stretch. Whereas for the acrylic yarn, there's that little bit of stretch there, which is why we need to check the sizes at a certain point. I think I'm going to do one more round then and check. Look at that, I've split the stitch. Sometimes best just to come out and go back in again if you split a stitch. So 1, 2 and 3, and treble in every single stitch. So this is our 7th, so I'm not that far away. Just looking at this, I don't think it looks particularly longer. There's just something tells me that I think we need to measure. And again, you do need to double check on your doll's head every so often, because we will all be different for tension. It's up to you. If you find it is really large on your doll when you've done it, because your tension's loose, it might be worth dropping down to a 3mm crochet hook. Because of the type of hat it is, it's not the end of the world if this part is baggy. But obviously we need it to fit onto her head comfortably, so it's not going to drop over her eyes. So that is where we can start to do an extra decrease here and there if necessary. So this is number 7. The only problem being is those guys I told you to do 8 and fast forward, you're not going to see this check. Hopefully you'll see there's a difference in the photos when you're fast forwarding, so you will stop. Dog's laid down behind door now. I never know whether crochet tutorials should be about a crochet along, so you're crocheting with me. I think that's quite hard to do for anybody because everybody is at different levels, or whether it's a case of I just sort of instruct you, this is what you're going to do, and you can follow it from there. I know I have put out some patterns for some of my work. If I don't on certain projects, it's usually because I don't think sort of like this, it's really simple. It doesn't really warrant a pattern. But if you do really want one, or you'd like a few more details, just give me a shout and I'll try and sort something out for you. I must admit, I like a pattern, but not everybody uses patterns anyway. Right, I'm just having a quick look. Now, here's my beachcomber. And as you can see, actually, it's not far off because this is where our trebles are. So, do I do one more round? Let me do it that way around, you can see it. The size is about right. I'm going to, because I did say at the beginning, for you guys who fast forwarded, we were going to do 8 rounds. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit longer. So we're going to do our last round. Because it's not fair if I suddenly say, oh, we'll only do 7. Because I've told you to do 8. But it's going to take, what? Does it add maybe, it's not even a centimetre, is it, for my, well, for this size trebles. So it's not going to make that much difference to the actual hat structure. Because some people like the beanies really, really slouchy. You can always add on extra rounds. Or as I've said earlier, when I tried it on her head, if you just want it as a regular beanie, you can stop when it sort of just about fits the top of her head and sort of comes down towards her eyebrows. And then you just do a couple of double crochet rounds, possibly with some decreases there, because the slouchy one is a little bit wider until we get onto the DC rounds. Or our double crochet rounds. I'm going to stop at the end of these trebles, and hopefully, as I say, that is if you guys have fast forwarded, will rejoin me. Another comparison. About halfway, I think, on this last round. Shouldn't be long before we get back to that first 3 chain. I think sometimes I'm just looking at my own hands while I'm working. It's not so much that I'm fast. I mean, there's people out there way faster than me, but I think I'm inclined to flick my hands about a little bit, because if I try and keep my hands more still, I look like I'm working slower. But if I sort of move my hands about, because can you see what I do? I sort of wiggle my work as I'm doing it, and I think it makes it look like I'm going faster than I am. Are we nearly there? Look at that, I can see our 3 chain now. Oh, look at that. Good job I'm not a knitter. I'll be dropping stitches all the time. Well, I can knit, I just choose not to knit. Knitting was the first thing I learnt over crochet, but as soon as I learnt to crochet, I've never knitted since. So we're going to do a slip stitch join, and we have our trebles, or not, done. So I'm going to pop it down, and we're going to do another quick comparison on our sizes. I'm just moving my chair a minute. I've left my sewing machine under the table here, and it's really uncomfortable because it's getting in the way of my foot. So let's have a look. This is my beachcomber. This is our double knit. I think the double knit has come out very, very fractionally longer. Nothing major, but it has come out that little bit longer. We now need to do this bit where we're going to be reducing our stitches. But I did mention I was just going to do a quick plug. That's what it's called. If you've seen this, if you're in the UK, or I don't know whether Simply Crochet is in other countries, but it's the same magazine who do Simply Crochet. They've done this Your Crochet Christmas. And if I turn, some gorgeous things in here, by the way. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Where are you? How do you do this? You can never find the page you want something on, can you? I'll tell you what, the simplest thing to do would actually be to look here, and I can see where it is. It's page 71. Ta-da! There's my cozy Christmas, as they've called it. It's a cushion pattern that I've done, so I'm really pleased with that. It has been in one of their articles before, but they've actually put it in their Christmas compilation, which is quite a compliment, because it's some of the, supposedly, let's have a look, their favourites that they've put in here. So that's nice to think it's one of the favourites. Really pleased with that. I've got that back now, and it is a cushion I was really proud of doing. So if you're in the UK, pick up this magazine, because it's got loads and loads of cute Christmassy things in there as well. So obviously I'm going to recommend it, I'm in it, but I thought it might be nice just to show you. We're going to get on with this hat now. So we're going to need to decrease, because that, in fact, if we bring Shitosi over, you can see at the minute it looks like she's got a tea cozy on her head. Yeah, way too big, but we need that for the slouchy bit, because it will actually sort of sit like that, and then the slouch drops. Yeah, so you can see how it would drop, but we do need to stop it dropping over her eyes, so we need to get some decreasing in there. Oh, my wool's come back onto show now. So we're going to do double crochet rounds, but I'm going to decrease at the same time. I'm going to decrease 4 times a round. So I'm not going to tell you how many stitches, because again, you don't have to be that precise, but I'm going to be doing 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there, decrease. So it's like 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock is where my decreases are going to go. I'm going to pop my little stitch marker in first, so I know where to start from. And you see that is a little tiny weeny teacup. It's cute. Right, so off we go. My first double crochet decrease. I will do my first decreases nice and slow. So we're going to go into the stitch, we pull it through. We don't finish the stitch. We're going into the next stitch. We pull it through. We have 3 on the hook. We pull it through all 3. That is my decrease. So now I'm going to just crochet to approximately 1/4. There is no way you need to worry about counting here. There is no way anyone's going to be able to tell where you have done that. Also, the double crochet will tighten the work up. So let me a couple more, and I'm going to do my second decrease. Right, I'm going to do it there, so you can see it's approximately 1/4. So we go in, we pull through, we don't finish that stitch. We go into the next one, we pull through, we have 3 on the hook, we pull through all 3. So I'm just going to go back to about halfway now for our third one. I know there are different methods of decreasing. From what I've seen, a popular method in American patterns is you just miss a stitch. It does work. I find it you get away with it with double crochets. I don't think I get away with it when I've done trebles. I think it can look messy. It can leave a hole. But whatever method works for you, it is a decrease. If you want to do the one where you just jump a stitch, by all means jump a stitch. I just sort of do it the way I've been taught, and I do the 2 together. So I'm doing 2 together now. So I pull through, got 2 on the hook, go into the next one, we have 3, we pull through all 3. Like I say, I do think the skip one does work quite well with double crochets. I don't think it works at all well if it's a larger or a longer stitch. Right, we are already round. The next round is just a round. So all it is one double crochet into every one of the stitches. Or not. There we go. It's the only thing, when you've done two together, it does make that particular stitch a little tighter. We're almost there. What time are we on? Oh, it's chopped up to 40 minutes, but we have talked about other things. We haven't just been doing the hat. So I think if you were making the hat, you're definitely under an hour. I think by doing the double crochets in these last few rounds as well, also makes it look neater. It looks like a band on the edge of the beanie rather than just finished off in trebles. Sometimes trebles are fine to finish off with, but it depends on what the pattern's like. We've got a little bit more decreasing to do. In fact, after the next decrease, we're going to try it on her head, because as I've already said, the this double knit yarn compared with the beachcomber has come out very fractionally larger. So please be aware, whatever yarns you're using, you will also get a difference. I know I got a yarn out to try before I started doing it, because it was a Hayfield double knit yarn, which I mentioned in the pumpkin garland tutorial. It was thicker. It was a definite double knit, but there was a definite difference. So if I'd have done the hat in that, it would have turned out even bigger. So we're round there. That was just a plain one double crochet into every single stitch round. We are now going to have 2 rounds where we're going to decrease. Let me just double check. All right, the first one, it's going to be a 4 one again. So I'm going to decrease here, 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 and here. Another way of marking that out is you could put a piece of yarn, different colour yarn, contrast yarn, at each of those points, or a little stitch marker. If you've got one of those little plastic stitch markers, they're quite good for doing that, just marking out. Again, I'm just a little bit of guesstimate going there. Oh, in fact, I'm supposed to be doing a decrease, aren't I? So, decrease. So I need to go to approximately a quarter. I think there. So 2 together. I'm not happy with that one. Can you see what I've just done? See how my yarn is split? You see there's a little split in the yarn there. So I don't like that. So I'm going to take it out. It's worth taking it out if you do that. Keep an eye on it, because it can make your work look messy if you leave it. So do it again. That's easy. It's nice and smooth now, so that worked. So now I'm going to try and get round to approximately the halfway mark. Quick check where my stitch marker is. That will give me a rough indication when I'm opposite of it. That is time to do it, which I think is now. So this is our second decrease. So it's all in all, up to now, when we finish this round, we'll have done 8 decreases. So then we're going to try it on our head. I'll go for it now. So don't over stress about it. Yes, we could count how many stitches between every single one, and sometimes that is really important to do, but for something like this, it's really not. Just relax, enjoy your crochet, have a play with it. If it goes wrong, we undo it. Sometimes I've made something that's gone wrong and it's given me inspiration to make something else, so that can be good as well. So we have another decrease. I think it's time to try it on Chitosi. So we'll bring her back into view here. She's got hat hair now. I know that feeling. So let's have a look. It looks like she's got a bucket on her head, doesn't it? I think that's still a little loose, but I'm just going to hold it so you can imagine how your slouch goes. Yeah, can you see how that nicely slouches now? So that's pretty good. But can you see, I think that's still a little bit loose on her head. So pop you back over there with your hat hair, bless you. So anything, my poor girls, because I'm trying hats and things on them, I'm sure their wigs don't stay in as decent condition as perhaps they should do. Right, we're going to have just 2 more rounds. These are the last 2 rounds, but I am going to do decreases on them at the beginning. That's all. So just here, first 2 stitches are going to be 2 together. Then I'm going to just go all the way around, 1 double crochet into every stitch. You see, it makes quite a nice contrast doing the double crochets against the trebles. You could do that in a different colour. That would look quite nice actually. So maybe if I did on like a dark purple band or a grey band, grey would have looked quite nice. I should have thought about that before I did it. That would have looked really nice with a grey band. My stomach has just rumbled twice now. I'm really hoping you can't hear that. But the thing is, microphone is attached to me, so there's a good chance you can hear my stomach rumbling. Make sure I'm where I should be. Apologies if I do go off, but it shouldn't really affect what we're doing at the moment, because as I say, it's just a double crochet round. So we're round again. Now this is our last and final round. So 2 together. Double crochet all the way around. We're finished. We have finished. You see it's pulled it in quite a lot now. They always look funny, beanie hats, well, the slouchy ones, when you've made them, because as I say, it looked like I'd put a bucket on her head. It doesn't look like it's got any particular shaping, which it hasn't. It's just about its length. They're just very long hats. So just 1 double crochet into every single one now. The double crochets definitely tighten it up. Sometimes it's a great way of shaping, rather than having to reduce stitches. If you just go from trebles to double crochets for a while, then back to trebles, you will get a shape. Sometimes the dresses for the smart dolls I will alter like that, because obviously they are very shapely, and sometimes, oh, split stitch, sometimes they're quite hard to make for. Nearly there, last 2 stitches. Yay! And then I'm going to do a slip stitch for my last one, because I just think it makes it slightly neater. So, clip, clip. Take out my stitch marker, and fingers crossed, this is going to fit her. Let's just pop that one in there. In fact, let me sew this end in first. I'll do the inside one later, but just to show you how it works, we'll have this one in here. I like to sort of stitch it on the inside, and I usually just run it along, and I'm inclined to run it up that way. If I run it that way, sometimes your stitches can come out, so I like to run it along that way because that's not the stretch, and a little bit down the other way. I'm inclined to very overdo it, but I don't like the risk of stitches coming undone. It's important. Right, my stitch marker stuck to my scissors. I keep calling it a stitch marker, it's my needle holder or whatever it's called, I don't know. Right, so I'm going to pop that over there, and look at that. It is bigger than the other one. It has come out larger, but I don't think it matters. In fact, if anything, I think I might like it slightly longer. Let's try it on her properly now. Come over here, she dozy. What did I say? Mrs. Bad Hair Day. Right, so we've got another hat to try. So So basically, when you pull it on, you need to make sure you've got a nice, quite a tight fit there. Not too tight, because you don't want to be pushing it on, but just so you know it wouldn't slip. And then as far as the slouch is concerned, we're just going to push it down into position. There we go. So I actually think that's worked out quite nicely, as much as it has come out a little bit bigger. But can you see we've got this nice slouch here? So it gives it a nice shape to the actual hat. Now you can position them differently. I'm popping it back on her. We could just literally puff it out to the back, so we have a fit like that. I quite like the fit to one side, so you just hold the band and just pop it over to one side a little bit more. I like that one-sided look. So I think that's worked really well. Again, be aware of your yarn. If you've put it on her head and you still think it's coming really low because it's just not tight enough, pop in maybe 2 more decreases. I wouldn't have thought much more would be needed. Hopefully your tension's not that much different. If you find it's getting too tight after that first decrease, don't do any more. Just do double crochet rounds. The more you crochet, the more you realize that adjustment. I think what would look quite nice here is if she had a little flower here or a little motif. I know that's not for that, but you could pop something there, gives it a little bit more detail to that side. All in all, hope you're going to have a go. Any problems, please just give me a shout. I do want to try and make the tutorials easy for everybody to understand. So if I'm doing something wrong, please let me know. Please let me know if I'm doing something right. That's even better. It's lovely to hear nice comments. So hopefully you've enjoyed this and you're going to like, subscribe and share, please. And pop on the notification button if you're wanting any other notifications when I'm doing a new video. So not sure what else I'm doing this week. I did write it down, but I can't decide whether I'm going to be a dolly item or not. I've got 2 things I've got in my mind, so I'm not sure which one I'm wanting to do yet, but hopefully you will see that soon as well. And enjoy your crochet, and I'd love to see some pictures of your dollies in their hats. Thank you for watching and see you soon. Bye.